Now, okay then. So, this is RPG Remembrances. What got you hooked? It's just a little short little show where we'll be talking about uh, the RPGs that got us into RPG gaming, and then we'll talk about where we see the genre going in this 8th gen, and then we'll maybe, if we have time, define what an RPG means to us. So, without further ado, we'll begin with our guest, um, the Good Shepherd.
Hey, what's going on, peoples? It's me, the Good Shepherd, here to talk RPG, the best genre ever.
It is. It is the best genre ever. So, what RPG got you hooked into RPG gaming?
Believe it or not, the first RPG to get me hooked was actually an action RPG. It was on Nintendo called Crystalis.
Oh, that's a good one.
That game got me hooked. And then
That game is awesome.
eventually the one that sealed the deal was Final Fantasy series, but what got me interested in RPGs at all was that game Crystalis. I love that game.
It is. It's very good. It's very good.
Yep, yep.
Do you have an RPG that kind of stood out to you, Triple M?
Well, I will say this. Oh, and by the way, hi, I'm Triple M, lone wolf that that likes to play Nintendo games, but wouldn't mind playing other games. Yeah, I will have to say this. I am basically an outsider of the RPG genre, but I will say that I have dabbled in it. Case in point, there was one game I played. I didn't even thought it was an RPG at the time. And to be honest, I kind of had an epiphany about a few days ago, realizing that this game I played, and even though it was a very short session, but I have actually played a Dragon Warrior game
Oh wow.
on
Okay.
the NES, and to put it into context, okay, I do not live in I'm a person that wasn't born in the States or any other English countries. So yeah, you can probably see why I couldn't it didn't click with me. Basically, English wasn't my native language, and at the time I was actually dwelling in the English tongue. So when I played that game during the NES days, or should I say Super NES days, I really couldn't understand what the bloody hell I was doing in that game. So,
Especially if it was the first Dragon Warrior.
Yeah, the worst thing is to play an RPG when you have no, because that's an extremely important part of an RPG. You need to know the story and what's going on.
Yep.
That must have been crazy for you. Oof.
oh yes, and the situation is worse because I played that game and we didn't even have an instruction booklet for it. So
Wow.
which
yeah,
which
it was.
Dragon Warrior was this? The first one?
I believe so because I was looking at some screenshots of some NES games now, and I was like, wait a minute, this 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 screenshot kind of looks familiar. And then when I saw that it was actually a Dragon's Warrior game, I was like, holy shoot! So this is actually the first RPG that I've played in my whole life. But yeah, too bad for me that I wasn't I wasn't as lucky, or should I say privileged, as you guys.
Well, hold on to your. You might be prepared to have that misconception blown out of the water once you find out the game that I first played, RPG that I first played and actually got and enjoyed. Dragon Warrior on the NES.
Isn't that interesting?
Now, let me tell you something about Dragon Warrior. Unlike Final Fantasy, which basically Final Fantasy was always trying to reinvent itself as an RPG. right? Like every single Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy 4 is different from Final Fantasy 5. Final Fantasy 5 is different from Final Fantasy 6. It's always different, and they tend not to do sequels. Now, Dragon Warrior or Dragon Quest, depending on where you are, is a completely different thing. They found out a system that works. They stick with that system, and then they build a story around that gameplay system. But the very first Dragon Warrior basically took all the conventions of tabletop RPG gaming and put it into like electronic digital format, because basically it had all of the D&D stuff in it without being so D&D-ish, for lack of a better word. Like all of the lessons you learn that serve you well in later RPGs, like grinding, don't go into certain areas before you're at a certain level or you'll get totally destroyed by certain enemies. Dragon Warrior did this, because I remember in the game, the first town you're in, like, the king gives you 200 gold, and he's like, go get outfitted. 200 gold seems like a lot of money when he gives it to you, and taking what's in the chests in his little castle that he lets you have access to seems like enough. But once you go outside, like, he gives you like a cypress stick, some cloth armor, which does nothing. It's like the worst stuff ever. I'm like, dude, you're king. You get taxes. You can't give me something better than this crap. But
no, he just laughs at this. Enjoy, peasants.
Yeah. Then you go outside and you get your butt. Well, actually, no. Initially, you find slimes, maybe the occasional weird rabbit with a horn. But if you go in the wrong direction, you'll run into like a Draki, which will destroy you in like 1 or 2 hits, or cast a spell in 1 hit, one shot you. This Dragon Warrior taught you, don't go over here until you get destroyed. Don't do it.
Good point, and I missed that. We need to have. Well, yeah, I'm kind of skipping the subject a little bit, but screw it.
No, RPGs too easy.
RPGs
Dragon Warrior was not easy.
We need to go back to all elements, because you have to think about it. Well, I couldn't say real life because there's RPGs in the fantasy world, but in a way, in real life, there's always a more powerful enemy, and part of being an RPG is it's kind of like free roam. So I miss where you accidentally roam into an area and then you find like this ridiculously powerful enemy that will destroy you.
Yeah, that was Dragon Warrior. Yeah, that was Dragon Warrior. You like literally like, okay, they would give you hints. They're like, okay, you need to go to this cave and get this item blessed. And you're like, okay, I'll go get this item blessed. And like to get to the cave, you're fighting monsters that are 2 or 3, 4 or 5 levels stronger than you are. So really, what you're supposed to do is leave the town, walk around, and grind for money, grind for experience. You can't overgrind in this game because the max level is 30. So once you get to 30, and here's the thing, you can still meet enemies at level 30 that can totally destroy you. So it becomes item management, and when you finally do get to the cave to take the item to get it blessed, you have to carry torches. You can only carry 9 torches at a time. So really, Dragon Warrior was the first RPG that really made me think, wow, this game requires you to use your brain, plan ahead, think about contingency plans, plan for the future, plan for the past. I mean, this was some hardcore stuff. And that was the game that got me hooked. Now, after that, I got my first system that was my own, the SNES. And anyone who knows anything about RPGs knows the SNES was like the golden age for RPGs, the 16-bit. Like, we got Final Fantasy IV, we got Secret of Mana, we got...
Hello?
Yeah, I was about to say we got Final Fantasy VI, and my Lufia 2.
Oh, yes, Lufia, yes.
But my personal favorite of the 16-bit generation was Chrono Trigger.
That's
like my favorite RPG ever. Like,
Sword, Prison Blade.
it
So
was like the best. It was
it
like
was like the best.
Chrono Trigger is like basically you had the best people at SquareSoft getting together with other top creative people in Japan in that sector to create the ultimate 16-bit RPG, and like no one's topped that game being made yet.
Wait a
Mm.
minute. So you mean Xenoblade Chronicles doesn't count?
Xenoblade Chronicles is made by Monolith Soft, which is a lot of the people that made Chrono Trigger
Is in that
didn't
group.
leave with Hironobu Sakaguchi, went to Monolith Soft, but it's just not the same.
It's not quite the same.
It's
Xenoblade
just not
Chronicles
the
is an
same.
excellent game, no doubt.
But it's not
But it's not
Chrono
Chrono
Trigger.
Trigger.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's like here's the thing. Rayman Legends is a good platformer, but it's not Mario. You know what I mean? It's like that. It's like
Although I gotta admit, this last Rayman Legends was ridiculously good. You
no, it's
gotta give them
good,
props.
and the
They
musical
just
levels are
Ubisoft was
awesome.
just a dumbass for putting that off. But anyways,
I mean, it's awesome. It's just not. You know, it's just not. It's
it's
just
a
not.
mini Mario.
Yeah, you can't okay when Nintendo basically really puts their foot into it. Like even though people say the 2D New Super Mario Brothers are repetitive, if you look at the actual level design, it is still very like the tightest 2D platforming you'll see in a game. I mean, tight. I mean, there's no shame in their game. Yeah, people say it's retread, but you can't. The level design,
But you
the types of
listen.
jumps you have to do.
That's another thing. A lot of people are quick to say that, but they don't really play it, or they'll
Yeah.
play it for a few minutes and then judge the whole game based off of a few minutes, which is nonsense. Because anybody who knows anything about Mario, it always starts off easy to get you acclimated
Yeah.
to the whole game. As you get
Funny,
further in, the game will start handing your ass if you're not paying
Yeah,
attention.
just go to Champions Road on Super Mario 3D World. Champions Road is basically Nintendo Tokyo EAD's like, oh, our game is kitty, beat this.
funny enough that you guys are actually mentioning about Mario games, which the two of you do know that I kind of consider myself Mario fanatic, mind.
Yeah,
No, you seem more like a Sonic guy to me.
Haha. A very much good production, my friend. Which I was actually at first a Mario and a Sonic the Hedgehog fan.
Hmm. Wait a minute, so that means you were a multi-console gamer, multiplayer
Um,
gamer?
Sadly, I am not, but um, I was willing to get a Sega Genesis at the days just to play Sonic the Hedgehog, but
yeah.
because, as I said before, um, not much moolah on me, so I decided to go with
Good man. No worries, I was in the same boat. The only
yeah,
the only console I ever got from my parents was Atari 2600. After that, we were on our own.
yes, basically.
I didn't have that. I didn't have that thing. Basically, my parents got me the SNES. Like I played my brother's NES, my half brother's NES, and that got me hooked. And then when I was about like for my fourth Christmas, they got me the SNES for Christmas, and that was basically
Oh, I keep
my
forgetting.
family. My family, we're a Nintendo family because every console that has been in my house, and even after I moved out, got my career and everything, I always get Nintendo first. You know, so that's just how it is.
Same as me. You're not the only one, Mr. Red Fox. That's same as me.
I don't like I was one of those people because if you grew up with Nintendo, you're basically or Sega, you're basically or even play Sony, you're a Japanese gamer at heart because those are Japanese consoles. And like I didn't trust Microsoft when they first came into the market. I'm still really like, man, you're messing up, son. Maybe
The
you should have stayed home if you couldn't come to the game ready to play. Should have stayed home, son.
Well, I mean, they have Halo. I'm not a big fan of first-person shooter, but Halo, I do like Halo.
You
And
know.
have and they stole Killer Instinct.
Yeah, they
So
did steal. Well,
so
Oh
well, they
God,
stole Rare,
please.
period. But that's a different
they stole
conversation.
Rare. That's another story for another day. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
back to the RPGs. Where do you guys see RPGs going this gen?
Shall I go first, or do you wanna go? Do you wanna?
You go first, and then I'll jump in.
Hold
All
up.
right.
Before we go further than that, let me just say, um, uh, okay, the first RPG game that I didn't realize was an RPG was Dragon Warrior.
Yeah.
But I will say the game, or should I say the franchise that actually made me open up to RPG games is none other than freaking Pokemon, my friend. And although we even though it does share some RPGs similarities to of other games in the genre, I will say that it's kind of an offshoot RPG, which I can pretty much say that uh, it's kind of like it's kind of like a much more redefined or a better introduction to the RPG genre. And let me tell you, the things that Mr. Red Fox and the Good Shepherd said about what you might encounter in an RPG game. Pokemon Red and Blue. Actually, I played the yellow version first, and then chime into the earlier versions. But I can attest that there are some things that you will encounter in an RPG game. Um, I it kind of pretty much mirrors um, what what other games of that genre has done. Maybe not to the effectiveness that Dragon Warrior did with the whole openness, but when you find no when you yeah, let me just say, when you find yourself off in a beaten path, you will find yourself fighting enemy Pokemons that are actually a whole lot stronger than you. like, but yeah.
Wow, that was a tangent worthy of me.
Well, let's just say I appreciate, and coming from you, Good Shepherd.
I know how to ramble, my friend.
So I guess we have. So I guess you and I are kind of our rivals in this.
No,
No,
I'll totally destroy you, but nice try.
no, it's okay, but now we should talk about what we see the future of RPGs in this eighth gen, because we're in a new gen. We this new technology, where like what franchises we would like to see come back, what new directions we think they should take, or should they go back to their roots? Go, Mister Good
Okay.
Shepherd.
Well, this is where my OG bias kicks in. Um, well, I'll start with the future is somewhat promising depending on where you look, i.e., Monolith Soft's new iteration of Xenoblade Chronicles X.
hmm
That looks very promising. Although those type of games feel less like RPG and more like action RPG, which isn't
hmm
really a bad thing. But I'm kind of old schoolish. Sometimes I kind of miss the days of. I know it seems cheesy, but just have them stand there in place. You choose what to do, and then your character responds.
Turn based, my friend.
Turn
Turn based for the
back.
win.
I love me some good turn-based action, which is one of the reasons why Pokemon has lured me over with Pokemon X and Y. Because I left Pokemon. I did the first generation. I did the Shadow game on the GameCube, and that was it
hmm
for me.
Yep.
I didn't touch it again till Pokemon X and Y, which I it was a little easier than I expected it to be, but I love the game, and I will
Yeah.
get Omega Ruby. Anyways, I digress. Depends on which platform you're in. RPGs is still looking promising. Persona 5 is coming out on the PlayStation, which
Oh.
I actually like Persona. I've never got into the series until recently. My girl kept
hmm
on bringing it up because her best friend Dax rocks Persona all day, every day. And since supposedly he has similar taste to me in video gaming, I was like, all right, I'll check it out. But and then this Gaia game is coming out, so
Mm.
it's interesting. I know you don't like this guy. I don't care. It's the
You know,
closest thing.
actually, I like this guy. I have 1, 2, 3, and 4. But the
Really?
thing is after a while, it's like how much. Like, here's the thing. I like this guy takes grinding to a whole new level.
Oh
Like
yeah,
Dragon Warrior.
9,999.
Yeah, Dragon Warrior is like, okay, I'm grinding. This is just gonna be. I got to do this. This guy's like, oh, you like grinding? Okay, you can max out your level, but you can also max out the level of your weapon. I'm like, okay, that's too much grinding. I'm sorry. That's just.
Nine. Well, yeah, that game is insane. Um, I I like it because I mean, personally, I rather have a new Final Fantasy Tactics. That's
Yeah,
just me.
yeah.
I would like a new Chrono Trigger. I would like a new, and I know most people won't agree with me, but I still think Final Fantasy VI is like the best Final Fantasy.
I agree with you,
Ooh,
sir.
shots fired, my friend. Shots
I
fired.
No,
Final
there's no
Fantasy
shots
VI on
fired.
Super
It's just
Nintendo.
Final
The
Fantasy VI.
storyline and plots. It's
Final Fantasy
just
VI, just the character. For me, it's the characters. The characters in
exactly,
Final Fantasy
exactly.
VI are so much more interesting to me than Final
Yeah,
Fantasy VII's.
you
I'm
wanna
sorry. I'm sorry.
you wanna know what's going on with everybody. And then and which other Final Fantasy they actually destroyed the world? Really?
Yeah, the bad guy
Kefka is
actually
crazy.
wins in Final Fantasy VI.
Kefka is insane. It really
Oh,
is.
he's such an asshole. I mean,
He
he's
is like
so.
he is my
Oh,
favorite bad guy.
and when you kill him, it's so satisfying. It's like, you know
Got
what?
you, sick
I
bastard.
would destroy this world just to destroy Kefka. Like, he is so evil. It's like, ugh.
Exactly. That
I feel
game.
so
If
happy killing him, you know?
Square Enix says that if they made Final Fantasy VII remake, they can't top that. I beg to differ. I bet you if they remade, they could leave the game exactly the same, just better graphics, maybe put some voice acting in, etc. But I bet you if they redid Final Fantasy VI with the quality, visually, graphically, sound-wise, of Final Fantasy 13 and 14 and 15,
Oh, God.
I didn't say the games were good. I said them
I don't think they
graphically.
could do it. No, I don't think Square Enix has the talent because, like, Chrono Trigger is like Hironobu Sakaguchi considers Chrono Trigger to be like one of the best games he's ever made. But then they made Chrono Cross, which was supposed to be a sequel. Same team, but Hironobu Sakaguchi wasn't working on it. And Chrono Cross is like nothing like Chrono Trigger. It's not even. It doesn't even feel like a sequel, really.
The game would have been all right if they didn't call it Chrono Cross.
Yeah, exactly. If they
It
had
wasn't a
called
bad game, but it was not on anywhere near Chrono
Yeah, it
Trigger's
wasn't
level.
really a sequel to Chrono Trigger. Now, I'll tell you the truth. If Square Enix wanted to get into my good graces, if they really wanted to bring back that old school crowd that made them great back in the day, if they made a sequel to Chrono Trigger and took the original a real sequel and took the original Chrono Trigger and remade it from the ground up using the engine they used for Dragon Quest VIII, which works out because Akira Toriyama's studio did the character illustrations for that game. They did the character illustrations for Chrono Trigger. You keep that same art style, bring that stuff back up, make it 3D, because for those people that absolutely have to have 3D games nowadays, but it's still cel shaded, so it works. I'm telling you right now, that game would bring Square Enix back. And don't let the dude who directed Final Fantasy 13 anywhere near it. Don't. Stick him in a closet and put a broom handle through the thing so he can't get out. Just slide food underneath the door. Don't ever let him near the game. You do that, I would buy a PS4 for that game.
I have
Right
a
now.
sneaky suspicion that sneaky suspicion that the person that was directing Final Fantasy 13 just wanted to make his own version of Final Fantasy and not even kind of disregard what the original creator was visioning for the Final Fantasy franchise. So
Yeah, he
yeah, I can
did.
see
And
some.
that's why even the Japanese, like, look, I have friends who live in Japan. I did a semester abroad in Japan. I have people that I still, I've made multiple business trips to Japan. Like, I've
Oh,
actually,
before,
actually know,
before you go
actually
any
know,
further,
well, I
before
was
you go
about
any
to say,
further, I just want to.
I actually know
Yeah, I was
Japanese
just.
people, and a lot of them do
Yes, I
not
was
like
just.
that game.
Yeah, I was just gonna say this. Imitating the Japanese gamers was like when they first played at Final Fantasy 13. They went like, "Nande kore wa kuso!" Yeah,
Yeah, basically. Nandayo! They didn't know what. They were like, Nani? It's just the game is. I don't. I'm not going to get on Final Fantasy 13. Where does anyone see this? See any like new aside from them going old school? Any like new interpretations done? Any new stuff? I mean, Xbox kind of got rid of their Kinect, so there's nothing new you can really do with that. But any really cool, innovative things they can do with the PlayStation hardware with RPGs?
I could say they they could have done something innovative with the PlayStation camera, but since it's not coming, since that peripheral is not coming with the console itself, I can say that the developers are um, not going to take advantage of the camera.
So you think they're going to go open worlds? They're going to use the hardware to make huge open worlds?
I was I would basically yes. Heck, I'm dying to see an RPG an RPG game done right, and that is not made by Monolith Soft because they've already done a great job with Xenoblade Chronicles. So yeah, I wanted to see an RPG done right on the Wii U. Just because of that gamepad, I can see a lot going on with it.
I could too, but I mean, maybe Intelligent Systems could do a really good Paper Mario game.
Heck,
Or
I would.
if Fire Emblems Cross Shin Megami Tensei turns out to be really good, that
Yes,
would be an awesome title. What do
yes.
you think, Good Shepherd?
Captain Good Shepherd, are you there?
Oh snap! Here, let me close the Q and A. Let me close the
Hello,
Q and
can you
A.
hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Can
yeah.
you hear me
I was just going to ask what you thought about if Shin Megami Tensei Cross Fire Emblem will be any good.
Oh, I think it will be absolutely fabulous. The problem is how long will they make us wait?
Well, they showed their lineup for 2015 and nothing about Shin Megami Tensei Cross Fire Emblem. But you know what? I don't want them rushing that game.
Oh, I don't. I
None of
learned
us
with
want.
Nintendo, let them take their time.
Well,
It's always
RPGs
worth the
take
wait.
time.
It's always
RPGs
worth the
take
wait.
time. Like if an RPG like really, I mean, like it's kind of
We
like
need
this.
Golden Sun back.
Yeah, well, they brought it back on the DS with Dark Dawn or no Dark Sun, which I got. It's a pretty good game.
I've
It's not.
actually. Go ahead.
No, it's pretty good. It's a little like Camelot. Like I think Camelot is underused by Nintendo. Like it seems like all they make now are those golf and tennis games, Mario Golf, Mario Tennis. But I mean, people forget that Camelot. These were the Shining Force dudes. I mean, Golden Sun, Shining Force. They can make a good RPG.
Mm,
So let them.
Heck, I
yeah,
wouldn't be.
and
I,
let's see what the Garage Studios do. Because I
Well,
don't
I'm
think
pretty sure it's going to be awesome. I hope.
they seem. I like that new idea from Shigeru Miyamoto where they just kind of let them brainstorm and stuff more often. Because
Yeah,
Nintendo will come up with some interesting things. Hopefully I hope they dabble more in the RPG.
I hope
you
so
know what?
too.
Speaking about Camelot Studios, I wouldn't be surprised that some of the developers in Camelot that does RPG has been moved over to Intelligent Studios. Intelligent games.
Well, to help out with Shin Megami Tensei
Mm.
Cross Fire Emblem.
Yes, because I think it was on record back in on Nintendo Enthusiast. Um, I think they did mention that there are some people that moves around from studio to studio, and that might have happened with Camelot that doesn't do RPG games by themselves.
You never know. Nintendo's kind of flexible like that when it comes to their gaming projects.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, the thing is that Nintendo developers have, in some ways, more freedom to develop games in unique ways than a lot of like other first-party, even third-party developers.
Hmm.
Oh snap! Okay then. So things are about to get real. So I guess we'll wrap this up real quick. Any final thoughts before we call it a night, gentlemen?
RPGs rock, and we need to do more podcasts like this.
we do. Frank, I'm sorry, Triple M.
Thank you. Turn-based kind of RPG. You can call it a chess game, and I'm always forward with chess games, even though I am uh, bloody noob at that.
Because the thing is, people tend to disregard it, saying it's old school, it's boring, it's slow. But actually, it goes back to what RPGs is about, and there's a little bit more strategy. Because as you make action RPGs more and more prevalent, it feels less than an RPG and more like a beat 'em up. And I
Yeah,
love a good beat 'em up, but I also love RPGs. So,
Well,
sometimes it's good to blend, sometimes it's better to keep it separate.
well, sometimes it's the blend. It's how it's done. Like Yakuza is an RPG beat 'em up. You beat up dudes, you get experience, but you level up, you gain new skills and abilities, you equip weapons. I mean, it's got that feel to it, but it's a really fun game though. Any game that lets me throw a bicycle on a dude, then jump on the bicycle frame. That's some hardcore stuff right there. 'Cause I
Yeah.
wouldn't do that in real life. That's horrible.
We as the gamers at large do not promote violence in real
No,
life.
violence isn't right.
not enough.
Do what
Not
normal
enough.
people on YouTube do. Trolls. Write nasty messages to people who could probably kick your behind in real life, and hope that they never find you. Um,
I don't do that. I'm usually the guy on the other side saying, "Let me
I'm
find you."
joking. I'm joking. Don't do that. That's terrible. So I guess everyone will give their sign off, and then we'll call it a night. Um, Starting with Triple M, then you, Good Shepherd, and then I'll end it, and we'll wrap it up, and everyone can go off.
Into the sunset.
Right.
Yeah, right off into the sunset.
Right. Well, this time I'll keep mine short. This has been Triple M. Kindly say thank you, Mr. Red Fox, for letting me join in this RPG podcast, even though I am basically a gaijin in this. Yeah. As yeah, yeah. Like I always say, um, I'm an artist at mind, adventure at heart, but I am fond to play games, especially Nintendo games, and wouldn't mind playing other types of games.
Okay.
Okay then.
All right. Hey, good people. It's me, the Good Shepherd. Thank you for listening. Support Operation Platinum. It's a worthy cause. We really need to get this out there. Support the good studios. And that's it. I'm out.
And this is Mr. Red Fox about to bounce out. Everyone have a good night. If you haven't seen that Bayonetta 2 Direct, go watch it.
Oh, yes.
Pre-order the game. If you can't pre-order it, buy it. Buy it when it comes out. If you can't get it physical, download it. I don't care. Get this game. It's going to be awesome. Good night.
See you next time.